angels on soft on the air. For me they are singing their welcome I hear. On the banks of old Jordan, ere gazing I stand, and earnestly longing I stretch forth my hand. Send a convoy of angels, dear Jesus, I pray. Let me join that sweet music, come and take me away. Though dark are the waters and rough is the wave, if Jesus permit the wild surges, I'll brave. For that heavenly music hath ravished me so, I must join in that chorus. I'll go, let me go.
See, if we start early, then it's not. Oh, I have the sermons here. I can preach. Last Sabbath and this and the Sabbath before. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to hear him again. That's right. So I was asked to share something about Brazil, but that starts in Egypt. So we'll go back to Egypt. In 2004, Tanya and I went to Egypt to serve there, and I was the director of education for our Egypt field and the principal of our school in Cairo. And at the school, there was a teacher who had gone to school with us when I was still in Egypt, a kid in Egypt. She was in my brother's class. And she has 3 daughters. One became my secretary when I became the president of the field, or she had been the secretary, and she was my secretary when I became the president of the Egypt field. And then another daughter who was working, and then the 3rd daughter was still in school, the younger daughter, the youngest. Well, she was a bit rebellious, and she didn't come to church, and she went to school on Sabbath, and just thought, because her older sister, who was a secretary at the field office, had not finished her high school yet, because the tests come on Sabbath for the final high school test. So she said, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a good education, and Sabbath, it's fine. I still believe in God. So when I became president a year and a half later, I had a Bible study meeting for all the young people who could come, and we had quite a few come and sit in our conference room, and I would teach them from the Bible. And she came. And she would, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's good, studying the Bible, that's good. One day she came to me and said, is it really important that I keep the Sabbath? Is it really important I mean, what's the big deal? So we had a talk, and I said, you know what? God doesn't want 90% of you. He doesn't want 99% of you. He wants all of you. So either follow him completely or not. It's your choice. She continued coming to the Bible study, and finally she came and said, I want to be baptized. I've decided I'm going to follow God 100%. So I studied with her, and then I baptized her, and she quit going to school on Sabbath. And now, so what's my future? No high school diploma in Egypt? What's my future? We leave the girl for a while, and we go to one Sabbath after church. After I preached, I was outside shaking hands with the members, and because I was also the pastor of the church that's right next to the field office. And this lady comes with her Brazilian accent, and she shakes hands with me and says, we have been asking for someone who speaks Arabic to come to Brazil because we have what we call the Arab Community House of Prayer. It's an Adventist church, but it's dedicated to the Arabs in São Paulo, and we want someone to speak Arabic, who speaks Arabic, to come and hold a series of meetings. Would you please come, or would you have someone else come? I said, I'd love to come. Come on, I'd love to come. So Tanya and I went, spent 10 days in Brazil, held meetings, and it was beautiful. We had a wonderful time. It was busy. The people there are quite receptive. They're very mission-minded. Do you know that in the city of São Paulo, there are 3 conferences? Just in the city, there are 3 conferences. In the state of São Paulo, there are 6 conferences. And so we traveled to churches. We did a series of meetings at this community, the Arab Community House of Prayer. We went to other churches, visited other churches, raised some funds for Egypt, but we served there, and the people were quite interested in helping Egypt. So we went back and we kept in touch with the people in Brazil. And then they said, we'd like to help in some way, more than money. And a group came from Brazil to Egypt to visit us. And as they met with me, they said, why don't you have young people studying for the ministry here? Well, I tried to open a seminary, and the government actually approved it, but church politics, higher up, not the GC, but the division and the union presidents were not in favor of it, so they squashed it. So they said, well, we have universities in Brazil, so why don't we sponsor your young people to come? And so this young lady who had been rebellious and who committed herself to Jesus and was actually working for us at the mission office as a gopher, happened to be there at the meeting with these Brazilian friends, and she said, I'll go. And so they sponsored her, and she went to Brazil. And she learned Portuguese, and it took her a long time to graduate because of learning the language, and she was helping and translating, and we went 3 years later, Tanya, was it? I think it was 2 years. 2 years later, we went back to Brazil for 28 days this time. And we saw her there, and she was happy and struggling language and learning, and but now she has graduated, She taught in an academy there, and now she's teaching at the university, teaching English and translation and things like that. They have a program at the university for the younger kids, and she's teaching them. When I go to Brazil, when we go, and we probably will go this summer, we don't know yet, but we've been in contact with them. When we go to Brazil, we go to this church that would offend many, maybe many of you. Because in that church, the Brazilians come and they cover up like our Muslim friends. They cover their heads. The men wear the abayas, and they actually have a Quran on the platform. I preached Jesus the first time, and I preached Jesus the second time. Preached 30 sermons in the 28 days. And it was all about Jesus, but it was from the standpoint of Arabs understanding Jesus. From the Bible. No compromises. No, we want to tread softly here. No. Jesus is God. Jesus is the Savior. Jesus is the only way. But we have failed in the Middle East to preach Jesus in the context of the Middle East. We have failed to preach Jesus where people who join our church don't consider themselves Americans. That's the American church. Christ Church is not the American church, is it? No. But our academy in Egypt is still called the American Garden. Just because it's in the middle of a village, and back in its heyday, it was really beautiful, and it had greenery and lots of vegetation and lots of fruit trees and produce. It produced a lot of produce and sold actually the best, oh boy, the very best tangerines I ever tasted were at that school when I was a kid there going to school. So when we go to Brazil, we're presenting Christ without any apologies, without any hidden agendas, without any softening of the message. But it's presented in a way that people can understand it. It's presented in a cultural way. And you know what hurts me most? Where was Jesus born? In the Middle East, right? Christianity began in the Middle East, and now we're exporting Christianity from the West. That's a shame. One sermon I preached in Brazil said, learn their music. And I got the idea when I was sitting at one church before my sermon, and they were singing in Portuguese. I knew the tune, but I didn't know the words. Even though the words are written in Latin letters, I could follow along, but I didn't know where the rhythm went with the words. So I just sat there, I couldn't sing with them. Even though I heard the music, I saw the words, I couldn't sing with them because I didn't know the rhythm of it. And that's the same thing with us. We need to learn their music. We need to learn the music of the people around us. We need to learn the music of the people in the Napa Valley, in the wine country. We need to learn the music with the Arabs. We need to learn the music with the Russians, with the Greeks, with the Mexicans, with the Argentinians, with the Africans. We need to learn their music so we can present Jesus to them in a way they can join us in the song. And that's a big lesson I learned in Brazil. Learn their music. And it's a big lesson I learned in Egypt in the 5 years we served there. And as I was telling Tanya, to her horror today in the car with Eileen with us, I said, I'd go to Egypt in a heartbeat to serve there. Because the people need to hear about Jesus. And they need to hear about Jesus in the way they can understand it. One last thing, and I have a minute. It broke my heart one day when we were singing a song that was written by an Egyptian to an Egyptian tune that was not secular. It was written for a Christian group. And the lady, an old Adventist who went to school with us, see, I'm old, went to school with us when I was a kid in Egypt. She said, I don't like this song because it's not Adventist. We shouldn't sing this song in our church. Adventist became the songs that were translated from the church hymnal in America. That's what an Adventist song meant to them. That is sad. That is very sad. Let's learn the music, shall we? God bless you.